Welcome to Community Connections with Children's Services Council of St. Lucie County. I'm just one of your humble hosts, Sean Boyle, and with me is
Ashley Mock.
And welcome to the half-hour television show, thanks to a wonderful partnership with WLX TV, the St. Lucie Public Schools channel, where we talk about resources and things that are available for children and families in our great community we call St. Lucie County.
I felt like you needed more dramatic.
You know, I felt like I was talking too fast. I've had a couple of cups of coffee. I thought, just slow down. Okay. Maybe it was a little awkward, but welcome to our TV show, where we are clearly, very clearly, not media professionals, despite 10 years practice. But what we do at the Children's Services Council is we focus on 5 priorities every single day, and those priorities are: 1, making sure every baby's a healthy baby; 2, stopping child abuse before it happens; 3, keeping kids off the streets; 4, keeping them in school; and 5, keeping them off drugs, alcohol, and other risky behaviors. And when I say that we focus on those priorities at the Children's Services Council, actually myself, the entire team, and the board, what we do is develop, fund programs in those 5 categories that are available to all children and families in St. Lucie County.
And obviously, while this show is a very entertaining way that you can learn about those programs and our partnerships with them, there are several different ways that you can learn more about them as well. One of them, obviously, is on our website at cscslc.org. We have a list of all of the programs that we are currently working with in each of those areas, along with their contact information and sort of a brief description. So if there's something that you're trying to identify, there's some information there for you. But we also have these lovely printed family guides that Sean is displaying for you on the screen. And these we print annually. So if you'll see, hold on, I'm gonna give away a secret right now. This one says 22-23, but it is the most recent one that we have at the moment. So this information is the same that's on our website. It is a brief description along with contact information for each one of our program partners. So this is a great quick glance at all of the programs that we work with in the community. So if you have a location where you could display these, whether it be your office or your church, we are happy to deliver these guides to you. We have them, we don't have a ton available in English at the moment, but we still do have some Spanish and some Creole and some Portuguese. So if you have a need and could distribute those in your office, we would love to get those to you. I will also just tell you that we have a few new programs coming later this year, which we're really excited about. So this will change, and we'll make sure that we tell all of our viewers when that gets updated. But our website will always have the most up-to-date information. So if you are looking for something, that is a great place to find it.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I didn't want our audience to think that we don't know what year it is.
We know what year.
We clearly know it's 2024. We just know that come October 1, like you said, we have a few new programs joining us, so we didn't want to run it, blah, 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 blah. But big shout out to Craig from the studio here, who when I was tethered to the chair, rescued this program guide so that we could share it with you, with the caveat that just ignore that part. Just when you get it.
Just ignore that.
And you said that we'll hand deliver them. And we will. If you ask for one, maybe we hand deliver that one. But if you have a business, place of worship, and you like us not only to bring these directories or even a little library where people can access books and take those books with them, but we will come out and speak to your group.
Sure.
And we can do it in a fun way. We can do it in a very boring, informational way. We prefer the fun way. We can also not only talk about what resources, but tie it into how the community is doing in regards to children and families.
Yeah, and in addition to this, I'll just mention too, on our website, I feel like we spend a lot of time in our office talking about data and outcomes and performance and how programs are doing. And obviously this part of the information is important to you when you're looking for a resource. But that performance information is important too. And we share all of that on our website as well. So we just published our mid-year program accountability report a couple months ago. But that is available on our website. We also have an annual report where we review sort of the trends of what those programs are doing over the year. Oh, I like that. And we also have an additional report that's coming out hopefully in a couple of weeks that will show you the comparison between how our county is performing compared to the state. So we have lots of information about these programs and the work that they do and various different ways that we can talk to you about it.
Dare I say we are so transparent we are see-through.
It's very close. Very close.
But we forgot to mention, all jokes aside, we forgot, by the way, How
I
have
am
I
impressed.
not thought of this before?
I am impressed. You did a good
But
job.
also, I need to mention that we are on social media. And when I say social media, let's just be honest, it's Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
We tried TikTok dances, failed miserably, and we're not sure what's going on with Twitter. So we just stuck with Facebook and Instagram.
Solid.
But please follow us on that. Facebook is a good place to find out what's going on in the community, the resources, and like inspirational messages. Instagram is a little bit, it's like Facebook without words, except more behind the scenes, if you
a little
will.
more fun.
And we have a little bit more fun with that. But please look up Children's Services Council, St. Lucie. Make sure you put in the St. Lucie, because obviously we're partial to our communities, Children's Services Council. And then on Instagram, I believe it's St. Lucie CSC is the name.
Correct. You're right.
So it's 200 degrees out, and I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not.
Nope, that is an accurate statement.
And while we're kind of starting to get to that midpoint in the summer, I think it's important for our listeners, our viewers, to begin thinking about what is their child going to do once school actually starts again.
It's a little crazy that we're already talking about that.
And really what we're talking about, we're going to talk about for the young kids here in a minute, but for the school age kids, it's important that they're enrolled in an after school program, particularly if you're a working parent or have a working household and you're not going to get home at 5, 6, 6:30 or so. What is your child doing after school? We're all teenagers at one time. We know that if we don't give them something to do, or not even teenagers, kids, we all know that if there's not something structured for them to do, they will find something to do, and hopefully that is positive. But if it's not, or if you're worried about that, or if you want to make sure that they get their homework done, or you want to make sure that they're learning how to interact with the peers, we highly encourage you to enroll your children in an after-school program and to begin thinking about that now, because slots do fill up.
That is true. And actually, to kind of help in that conversation, just this week, I posted on our website sort of a checklist or a guide, if you will, that kind of goes over how to choose an after-school program, if that's something that you're still looking for, and talks about the things that you can look at, like logistics. Is it close to home? Is it close to work? Luckily, we have addresses for all of our programs on our website that you could map exactly how far it was from all of those places. Several of our after-school programs also provide transportation from school if that's something that you need. So there's a lot of choice, which is nice. We have 17, 18 locations now of after-school programs, maybe more than that.
Yeah, it might be more.
But all of those are listed on our website. We're constantly updating that information. So please start there, look there. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us or to those organizations directly. All happy to answer questions.
And now, if you're watching this TV show and your school-age child is with you, cover their ears right now. I'll wait a second. All right, caregivers, parents. All of our after-school programs work on the common outcomes. And this is important for you to know so that you know that it's not just, hey, they're playing basketball and hanging out with their friends. They all have to maintain or improve their academics, every child that participates in their program. No less than 3 unexcused absences for the kids that are participating, and no school discipline referrals or juvenile justice referrals. So they're working on behavior and academics and making sure that they understand that school is a focus. So again, now unplug their ears. It's a great time. They'll learn, they'll get to play games with their friends and do all that fun stuff.
All of those things are important.
And the other thing before we get to our guest who's waiting patiently, he's not doing the jazz hands off cameras, but he is waiting patiently, is we had the opportunity, all of those, we talk about after school programs, that's just one of our categories, keeping kids off the streets. But obviously, because we are technically in summer, we have all those after school programs are summer programs. I think we have close to mid-20 locations of summer programs right now.
Yeah.
But we did have the opportunity to attend, we partnered with FIU.
Florida International University?
Sure. Which is located in tradition. And I just knew it as FIU. I thought it was FIT for a while, so FIU. But we were able to partner with them, and the St. Lucie School Board was a partner, as well as obviously FIU and another entity. But they did a summer internship that really focused on STEM or STEAM.
It was very cool.
And I'm not gonna lie, they had a poster board display all the interns, and like the level of science was like.
I tried to warn you about that.
This one, and our guest will appreciate this because there's an Office reference in here. He had his board up. I'm like, can you explain this to me? But explain it to me like I'm a third grader. because there was words on there and genomes and centrifuge and 10 minutes into it, I looked at them, I'm like, that is not third grade level. But it was amazing what they did, what they learned, and that partnership with FIU, and we were grateful. And we had an opportunity to speak to the parents, the faculty, and the graduates to let them know about Children's Services Council. So we're very grateful for that partnership.
Yeah,
but that's just one example of what we're doing in the summer.
And that was new for us this year, so that was kind of an exciting venture. And something too, we talk often about targeting those teens. They're hard.
Yeah.
They are hard to nail down, especially in the summer. So being able to provide an opportunity like that for them was really cool.
And speaking of teens, we're going to introduce a guest who we've known for a long time, but when we need a teenager's perspective, he has a mentality of a teenager. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
I'm joking.
That's not a joke.
It's really younger than that.
Yeah, it's younger. It's younger. It's 13.
Yeah.
These two are normally not allowed to be in a room together. So I'll just be the...
You be
I'll be the barrier.
The mediator.
The
Keep
mediator.
us under control.
Okay. So we talked about summer. We talked about after school. That sort of leaves out a chunk of kids in our group.
It does.
A large chunk
The
of
little
kids.
ones.
The little ones. And that happens to be where you specialize. So we're excited. We've got Tony Loupe, the CEO of Early Learning Coalition, with us today. And we're going to talk all about those little kids and all the things that we can do with them. Now,
how little? Like,
hold on.
Generally about 19 to 20 inches maybe at birth. Some maybe a little smaller.
About that. So I know we're going to focus a little bit on VPK, and I'm glad we're going to talk about it because I happened to see a question that one of my friends asked on Facebook today, so I'm going to get the answer from you and then go back and report. But it's not just VPK that you guys take care of at Early Learning Coalition. So talk a little bit about all that you have an umbrella over, I guess.
So VPK, Voluntary Pre-Kindergarten Program, is free for all 4-year-olds. And that's probably our most popular program because it is available to every 4-year-old in the state. Our other program, other main program, is not as well known, I think, just because there are some qualifications that come with it. So it really is focused on subsidizing childcare for those parents that are working and or going to school and can't afford it. So there is an income threshold that comes into play, and we look to serve the entire family. Our focus is birth to 5, but if a family comes to us and they have an infant and a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, let's just say they have 4 kids. I have 4 kids. So, So we will cover the cost for all 4 children. So whether they're in a before and after care and summer care program, or whether they're younger than kindergarten entry and they need full day care. So, and with the school readiness program, so to enter into the program, a family needs to be at or below 150% of the federal poverty level. And with funding, though, local funding from Children's Services Council and a couple of others.
but mostly Children's Services Council.
Absolutely.
I had to throw that in there.
Mostly Children's Services Council, probably about 80% Children's Services Council. We can bring families in that are over that 150% and up to 200% of the federal poverty level.
So, sorry, let me just ask for somebody that's listening that's like, I have no idea what the federal poverty level,
yeah.
what does that look like for a family?
So for the one that I kind of know off the top of my head is a single parent with 1 child, and that's about $24,000, $25,000. So we just got the new scales for this year, and I haven't. That's an old number, but it's somewhere. It does get adjusted slightly every year, so it has gone up a little bit.
I think, and I could be wrong, but in the ballpark, I think a family of 4, 2 parents, 2 kids, I think it's $54,000, $55,000 at 200% federal poverty level.
Yeah. So, but not only do we have that, yeah, that's right, Jazz. And I was trying so hard to be good because I was cracking up inside while you guys were doing your intro. So, so I held it together pretty good. So, but now I'm going to lose it. So, but with additional funding from Children's Services Council, we're actually able to look at families that are over that 200% threshold and potentially get them in to services. And we look at that on a case-by-case basis, really, and what the need is and what the situation is. The great thing with the funding that you all give us is that you've given us the flexibility. So there's been times where we've had to help a family that was really just kind of had a situation, like a blip in time, and they really only needed like 3 to 6 months to get back on their feet, and we were able to do that for them. Sometimes with our FATES program, though, we can bring those families in over that 200% and work with them over generally a 2 to 3 year period to ease them into full responsibility of child care.
I remember you and I had a conversation because you talk about a blip in time. I remember, and I just remember this story because it still sticks with me, about I think it was a father. He had, I believe, 2 kids, and his mother or his wife had just passed away, and they just moved here or something, and he didn't have a job, but he couldn't go look for a job because he had to watch his 2 kids.
Right.
And so you were able to provide the child care and able for him to go search and find a job and help his family get through that tragic situation.
The great part about it, there was actually 4 children, so but the 2 youngest were twins, and unfortunately the mother passed away shortly after giving birth to twins.
That's right.
So then the father he did have a job, but he had to quit his job because he needed to care for the family. And then I don't know if it was his mother or mother-in-law came and helped, with that, but he didn't have a job, so he was in one of those catch-22. You need to be employed to qualify for our school readiness program, but he needed childcare so that he could go interview and look for a job.
Right.
So the funding, was able to help us pay for those children. Actually, the 2 younger ones, the 2 older ones, in some communication with Boys and Girls Club, they took the older school-age children on scholarship. So it was really a community effort as well.
That's great.
Well, and I think that's a great example too. You talked about the flexibility that you have in being able to make those decisions in your office based on what's happening with other community partners. I mean, that just really, I think, speaks to so many layers of how we work in our community and how we hope that our network of programs works together too, because we say this all the time. Sean says this all the time. Families do not show up with one problem. And they may not even know all of the problems that they're dealing with at one time. And so I guess my question is, so this dad, this specific example that we're talking about, how does that conversation get started? Does he go to his child care center and be like, I'm struggling, I need help, what do I do? Or does he call Early Learning Coalition and say, I'm struggling, I need help, what do I do? Like what's the step in to kind of figure out what options you have?
So with our office, and we've been there, actually it's a little over 5 years now. We're located in the Treasure Coast Hospice 3-story building on the corner of Midway and Dunn Road. But it was through hospice, so he was, because of losing his wife and grieving, it was a referral from hospice to us. So, and so it can be the individual reaching out themselves or another agency reaching out to us, and we are going to have the parent or someone assist the parent in filling out the information and the application and such that's online, and they don't even have to come into the office, but they can absolutely come in and we can walk them through that and guide them through that. But the information or the application is online. They can go right to our website, www.elcslc.org, and just click on, there's school readiness and VPK. So school readiness is the subsidized program. So I don't want anyone to if they're sitting at home or they're hearing this and they're like, gosh, I probably don't qualify, put your information in, because depending on where you're at, you may not qualify for the school readiness program. You may not even qualify for the match program, but depending on where you are, there is some potential that you could qualify for the FATES or what we call the flex program if they're not in FATES. And FATES, for the crowd, I know you both know, but for the those that are viewing, is a program that really addresses the fiscal cliff of childcare. So when those families are in our services and we're paying through the state and federal dollars, and then when they come in for redetermination and they're literally $1,000 over the threshold now, and we would normally say to them, okay, I'm sorry, you no longer qualify. Now you have to pay 100% of childcare. So that $1,000 raise may now actually cost them $3,000 in loss of a subsidy. And generally, if they're losing our subsidy, there's probably other subsidies that they're losing as well. So that's been the great part about this. And one new thing coming this year, and it's, I think, really because of the work that we've done here in St. Lucie County and modeled that. And just a little shout out to Career Source and CSC and the Coalition. We partnered together.
And Families of the Treasure Coast.
And Families of the Treasure Coast, that's right. They were a newer partner that came in, but because of those entities, we were literally able to build the plane as we were flying it. This was a brand new pilot program, and we got it to work in St. Lucie. Compared to some of those big counties like Broward, Palm Beach, just want to brag a little bit about little St. Lucie.
We did it best.
But it's really about focusing in on those families and assisting them, gradually taking them out of services. But with the work that we've done, that prompted some legislation to come through this past year, and the state has incorporated, or is in the process of incorporating, and we believe it'll come online the end of August, maybe beginning of September, what they're calling the School Readiness Plus program. So now those families, once I don't think I talked about the exit. When families are in our program, either one, they can stay in until they reach 85% of the state median income. Once they're over that, they would normally come out. And those are federal dollars covering up to 85%. The state now has kicked in $23 million for this fiscal year that we're in on this SR Plus program, and that's going to help those families that would normally be coming out at 85%, and as long as they're under 100% of the state median income, then the state will pay for their child care, and then we'll be utilizing the FATES dollars potentially after that, because we're not 100% sure what that plan's going to look like yet. But there's a potential that it could create still yet somewhat of a fiscal cliff even after that 100%. So we want to make sure that we're really easing those families into paying 100%.
So we're talking a lot about childcare and kind of the ins and outs. And every time I get a chance to speak, when I talk about all the, we have a quiz that we give, or we talk about our 5 priorities. We always talk about school success, but really the blueprint or the imprint for success in school, and we're at a school board building right now, but really that foundation is laid even before they step foot into school. So this is kind of my transition to talk about why is childcare so important, and then the VPK program.
Yeah. So the importance of childcare is really the socialization that the child gets, and in school, when we talk about the K through 12 system, they're learning. The whole premise is to be learning what is being taught to them. In the birth to 5 segment, it's really about play. Play is learning for children. So if you go into a child care center and you see a lot of play and activity and what we call individual centers within the classroom, those centers are different play centers, basically, and for children to explore. And the great thing, too, about getting a group of children together is that they are going to learn from each other. So you may not think, oh, no, they can't learn anything. But, yes, they can. Sometimes the bad habits, too. But it is all good. They do truly learn. And really, around the age of 2 is when it's important for that child to start socializing with other children. So I know there's a lot of people, they feel like, keeping them at home and kind of sheltered keeping your child at home, if you have the ability to do that, that is great. Just make sure that as a parent, you're doing everything that you can for that child and setting up play dates and actually like working with them and talking with them and
not just putting Disney movies on repeat
Right,
all day while you get
Right.
stuff done.
right, yes. And if you see TVs throughout a child care center, that may not be the child care center that you want to go to. So
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that because I think another big plus to having Early Learning Coalition in our community is that you have resource specialists that get kind of dispersed through all these child care centers to help encourage that curriculum building, make sure that the centers are effective, make sure that the kids have play space that they can learn in. And your resource specialists are amazing. They're like some of the best humans
Yeah.
I've ever met, truly.
They are.
So I think that's a really big benefit to having, you know, just being able to provide that partnership and that leadership for them.
Yep. And we actually just kind of more recently changed their name to quality specialists.
see,
because,
even better.
Yeah, I know. So because they all came to
That's
me
what
and they
they
said,
do.
hey, we're really about quality, and that's what we're teaching and working with these centers for. Can we change our name from resource to quality?
I love
So,
that.
Yeah, and we added, our board approved a few months ago for us to add yet another quality specialist because we understand the importance of them being able to work with an appropriate amount of centers and really put the time and effort in. We offer technical assistance, we do all kinds of trainings. We go out and we do some monitoring as well to make sure that the providers are adhering to the requirements of the contract. But it's really a partnership with the providers to make sure that we can help them be the best that they can be for the children. So if they're contracted with us, there's a likelihood that they're, well, not a likelihood, there is, because the state put in some requirements about, it's called a class assessment, and it assesses the teacher-child interactions. And to contract with us, they have to have a score of a 4.0 or higher. And the rating goes from, I think, 1 or under 1, all the way up to 7. So the minimum is a 4 to contract. And all of our providers have scored a 4 or better.
That's
So-
awesome.
So you mentioned real quick, and we got like a minute left, that there's a
Thank you.
universal
30
program.
And Ashley had a VPK question.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I was
it's
getting
okay.
ready to
Yeah.
say, the VPK.
Well, really, it's about child care resource and referral, which you also do really well. And so if someone is looking for a center of any variety, they can call and find out.
Absolutely. They do not have to be receiving or have a child in any of our programs. We are like the 211 for childcare. And in fact, the state is coming out with a revamped system soon, hopefully within the next few months, or we'll say by December, hopefully the latest. And they refer to it as like the realtor.com of childcare. So families will be able to go in, search zip codes, and see and pull up all kinds of information about the child care centers.
Perfect.
So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you in our last 30 seconds, I know you mentioned your website. We love our acronyms, elcslc.org. But what's your phone number?
772-595-6424.
Awesome. I actually have that number
Me too.
memorized. I'm not 100% sure my son's phone number, but I do have that number memorized. Thank you, Tony,
Same.
so much for
Yes,
coming on.
thank you.
Thank you.
Be sure you call, especially if you have young ones. So important that they're in quality childcare. Thank you for tuning in and listening. I don't know why I say listening. Tuning in and watching. We're very grateful for every view, and a reminder that it's our children, our community, our future. Now more than ever, folks, we're all in this together. We'll see you next time.